says that's uploaded. Now, is the goal here to get the right answer, learn how to get the right answer, or
If we
something
can
else?
just, I mean, these are questions that I've done, but these are all going back from the last 4 weeks. So, yeah, if you can touch on it so I can kind of understand it as well.
Okay.
But obviously I want to get the right answer.
Yeah, so like the reason I was asking is I was going to suggest graphing this one, which will be kind of a different way of doing it, but
Okay.
it's kind of it kind of illustrates what's happening here. So let me share this other screen and graph y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus c. I'm going to add the slider c. So notice there are currently 2 roots. Do you see that?
Right.
Like roots means where it crosses the x-axis.
Mhm.
And if we change this c value, you still have 2 roots, but at some point right there-ish, you get 1 root. Okay, so when this c value is -2, you get 1 root.
Okay.
All right, now we go back, put some context in here. Let me go and nip this into the other screen. So let me go back, new chair. All right, so when c is -2, it has 1 root, and it says at least 1 root. So when c is it's kind of written weird, but the answer is -2, but you could see that it would dip below or would have no roots if going the other direction. So
Okay. Is there a way
um,
to solve that like without a graph? What would be the
yes,
easiest way?
quadratic formula. So let's
Quadratic
do
formula.
that next. So the quadratic formula here is that a equals 2, b equals -4. And unfortunately, this is kind of a little bit weird. C is actually minus c, because it's whatever this number is, including the sign.
Right.
So the part that you care about is the b squared minus 4ac it's which is called the discriminant. So that's -4 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus c. And you set this equal to 0. So -4 squared is 16. 4 times 2 times minus c is plus 8c equals 0. You solve for c and get c equals -2. And that's what I'm asking. Like, if you need to show work or something, like sometimes you got to submit work when you're doing these kinds of
Yeah.
things. Just say that, hey, I got to show some work.
Okay. Yeah, I do.
The graph is
Easiest
more
way.
of the learning tool. It's more
Oh,
of a
okay.
learning thing with the graph. It's like, oh, that's cool. Like you can see that it moves around, but teachers don't grade, what they think you did. They grade what they see on
Yeah.
paper. So keep that in mind.
I think that way was honestly a little bit easier. I remember discriminant, so that's a little easier for me to understand that way. All right, so C is -2, question 3. Oh my gosh, can you hear my son screaming upstairs?
Uh, it's I can hear something, you said those words. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, I don't think people are listening to these for things like that, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's all right. Sometimes,
I try to tell him be
uh,
quiet, but all right, so this one we're gonna need a calculator for sure. So cosine of theta.
I'm not seeing anything. So just let me know when you send that
Okay.
over.
Given that sine of theta. My notes.
Got it.
We have the sine, so we need cosecant.
Get it up now. So find the value of cosine theta given sine theta equals that. So what I would do is draw some sort of a triangle. Sine theta is the opposite over the hypotenuse. And there's always a fraction here over 1. So you have to first find this side length here. And the best way to do that is with Pythagorean theorem. You know, x squared plus 0.7502 squared equals 1 squared. You want to keep all the decimal places. So when you take a square root here, you want to go out like double this many decimal places, or just like hold that value in your calculator. But let me, so x, just to be clear, x is 1 squared minus 0.7502 squared square rooted. Which is 0.66121, 0.9799. You really want to go out as many places as you can. And then cosine though is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So we're kind of in luck here because you're dividing by 1. You just grab the first 4 decimal places here. 0.6612.
So we have the sine of theta. Wouldn't it be another way would be, because I have the formulas and I know cosine of theta is 1 over sine. Is that correct?
That
Over sine.
cosecant of theta is 1 over sine theta, which we are not given. We're asked for cosine here.
Okay. Can you take the cosecant of sine of 1 over of that and get
No.
that answer and then take it? No, you can't do that way either.
No. I mean, I kind of appreciate your creativity in trying to like manipulate those.
No, because I was just the way that he
It-
taught me
it-
was totally different. I was like,
Yeah, I mean, this is just a right triangle problem. You could find, so another way to do it is to find theta. So theta is the sine inverse of 0.7502, but you have to make sure you're in radian. Then you can take the cosine of that number. But you will get the same result that I just gave you there. So if you solve for that angle, you do the, and again, you gotta be in radian. That's important.
Okay.
Sine inverse of 0.7502 ends up being 0.84884-ish. Okay. But then if you take the cosine of that value, cosine of this number, you will get 0.6612. And the reason it works is because Pythagorean theorem, sine and cosine, tangent, they're all actually the same. They're just, you don't show people this in the beginning because their heads would explode because it's like, it's all the same. It's all actually interrelated.
Okay, let me just.
It's like you don't show someone to multiply before they can add, and you don't add until you can count.
Right.
And it's kind of like that. So whenever you're ready, if you want to send over another question or 2 or 3.
Yeah, let me finish. I didn't finish doing this. Next. 1.6612.
There it is. Oh boy, this has got a lot of parts.
I know.
That's where you gotta be careful. You're like, you know, I got it. One of these are like 6 parts in it. And so,
And plus, yeah, it says simplify too. So I remember this one I didn't simplify all the way. So. All right, I have
that
the
is-
formulas set up.
Yeah, let me, this just takes a moment to get them uploaded and then I gotta grab the snip. Okay, there's actually good news here. This is just, it looks deceptive.
X squared plus y squared, right? Square root of that.
Yeah, so but I would draw I would draw the ordered pairs, like your origin is here, so you're going right and then up 0.08, 0.06. And then, yeah, to find C here, C is the square root of 0.08 squared plus 0.06 squared. Will you calculate that for us, please?
Yeah. All right, so R equals a square root of 0.01.
Okay, and what does that become?
Point 0.01 or 0.1, I'm sorry.
Okay, so now we can do all of them. So this will replace the C with 0.1. All right, and then for sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So it's 0.06. Oh no. Uh-oh. Why does this happen? Something happened here with my pen. Give me just a moment here. That's weird. All right. Did you notice anything there? Screen go blank, anything like that?
No, I wasn't even
Okay, good.
looking.
Okay. The sine theta is opposite over adjacent 0.06 over 0.1. Now, when you reduce that, you should get 3/5. Now, if you're not sure how to, I don't know what kind of calculator you're using. I like
I'm
this
using
Desmos.
Desmos. Yeah, Desmos.
That's scientific. So there's that fraction button there on the right. And you should see that it's 3/5. So when it says the exact simplified form, they're suggesting a fraction here. Cosine theta is 0.08 over 1, which ends up being 4/5. And then tangent, there's a couple of ways to do tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. Or you can do sine over cosine. They both give you the same result. So you have to be able to do these, you know, without question. You have to be able to just tug right through those if you want.
Okay. X is. And for these, you would multiply by, I mean, 100 to remove the decimal, right? As far
You
as the
can,
values.
I would just use the calculator. There is kind of a shortcut here, but I would just use the fraction button, in the calculator to retrieve that result. So let me know when you're up to cosecant, because this is where we can leverage some of those reciprocal relations.
Okay. I did not know about that fraction symbol the whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was on there.
Right, that's kind of when you pay the car mechanic, $200 to turn a bolt, it's like, well, a lot of time went into that. Cosecant here, reciprocal. So it's the reciprocal of sine, like you said, it's 1 over sine theta, which is just the flip. It just ends up being the flip of this one here. Same with secant of theta, it's the flip. Same with cotangent of theta, it's the flip. So even though they ask you to do 6 things, they're really only asking you to do 3 because the others are reciprocals of that.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, if you want to send over another question, we can.
Okay. Cosecant was the reciprocal of sine, right?
Fine. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And actually, I guess maybe I haven't sent this over to you. There's a really good trig. They call it a cheat sheet. I'll drop it in the chat. It's just got all the formulas you'll need for the trig part of the course.
Cotangent.
So
Let me check my answers.
I'd recommend printing that out if you don't have it already.
All right, let me just enter these in real quick. Secant is sine is 305. Is cosine. Tangent is 3/4. Cotangent is 4/3. Secant is 5/4. Cosecant is 5/3.
This one will be fairly quick. You get the domain by setting the bottom equal to 0 in a rational function like this. So I'll let that load up here before I can snip it in. Right, so you set the bottom, like I said, it's the bottom equal to 0, but really it's that the bottom cannot be 0, but that's a little bit awkward. So you set it equal to 0. Subtract 8, minus 2n equals -8. Divide by -2, n equals 4, but that's not the answer. It's everything but that. That's the excluded value. So it's not D, it's everything except for that number.
All real numbers except, okay.
It's got more to it. Got it up here. Okay, so this problem, they're giving you a function. Okay, that function right there. They want you to find this thing f of x plus 2. Then they want you to take the original function, add 2 to it, and subtract it from the thing you find. So you've got to, there's like pieces that you've got to put together. So f of x plus 2, what that means is you take this x plus 2 and you put it in for the f. So you can imagine like this, wherever you see an x, it's going to go in. So it
Okay.
looks like this: 5 times x plus 2 squared plus 2. Okay. Now you do want to simplify this, which means you have to expand the x plus 2 squared, and that means x plus 2 times x plus 2, and that's where you have to FOIL. Okay, so that's x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4, x squared plus 4x plus 4. So it's 5 times x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 2, like that. And then you distribute that 5 in. So it becomes 5x squared plus 20x plus 20 plus 2, like that. 5x squared plus 20x plus 22. Now that's just the x plus 2 part. Okay, so that's not the answer. That's just like the part of the answer. So this next part that we're or the full part of the question here, which is f of x plus 2 minus f of x. So we have the first piece of it. We have, okay, we have this part right here is that f of x plus 2 is these three terms minus, we got to grab the original function, which is 5x squared plus 2, and then we're adding 2 to it. So the f of x is the 5x squared plus 2. The plus 2 is this plus 2. Is that all clear?
Yeah.
On the right here, combine like terms. So it's 5x squared plus 4. And then you're negating both of those terms. So it becomes minus 5x squared minus 4. And then you bring all this other stuff down. Then you combine like terms. So your like terms are 5x squared minus 5x squared. Those go away. The 22 and the minus 4 becomes 18. And that would be your final answer for that. So a lot to do to just get to that point, but next one came in, uploaded. Is so I don't know if it's possible, but sometimes when the words go like all the way on the width of the screen, it's good to like make it half screen. know if that's possible or not, but if it's not, that's okay too. So here we've got to draw a picture. It's the bottom of the doorway to a building, 2.93 feet above the ground. And a ramp to the door for the disabled as an angle 4 degrees with the ground. How much longer must the ramp be in order to make the angle 3 degrees? Okay. So the bottom of the doorway to a building, 2.9 ramp. Okay, so they're saying that this is 4 degrees and this is 2.93 feet. And we need to find the ramp length here, C. Okay. So which trig function would we use if we have the opposite and the hypotenuse? Sine, cosine, or
Sine.
tan? Sine, yeah. So the sine of 4 degrees, now you got to make sure your calculator's in degrees, is 2.93 over C. And if you don't remember how to solve this, like what you typically do is you multiply both sides by C to clear the C, and then you divide by the sine of 4. And what you end up doing is effectively just swapping positions. So you'll see that the C is now on the left and the sine of 4 degrees is on the bottom. Okay. All right. So we need to get that value. So let me grab my calculator here. Yeah, make sure you're in degrees, really important here. And wow, that's a long ramp. So I got 42.0033, we'll say. Now, the problem says, it says, well, we really want the angle to be 3 degrees instead of 4 degrees. So we do the same calculation now with 3 degrees instead of 4 degrees. So you can redraw it. If you want, it's still the same height. You're still finding C. C is 2.93 over the sine of 3 degrees. And so that number is a little bit longer. It's 55.9845. And so we want the difference between them. So like it not drawn to scale, but 3 degrees, it's going to be a lot longer. So you end up taking that 55.9845 and subtracting 42.0033 like that.
Five 94 5 minus 2.033. Oh my gosh.
So it says around in there is 10th, but it ends up just being 14.0.
So I put the 0.0.
Yeah, because it's the nearest 10. Yeah, you don't want to play games with these things.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, grades are on the line here. So yeah, I would do that. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. But it's an important consideration that when they build roads, they have certain grades that they have to maintain. And but it requires more ground, more pavement asphalt. The 3 degrees versus 4 degrees. So there's real life application out there potentially. So. All right, next one coming in. The lessons are 50 minutes, so we're gonna go for another 9 minutes, then take a short break.
Okay.
Um, But your estimate was pretty good. I mean, it's definitely more than an hour to do all this. Especially if you want to, get something out of it, not just race through it. All right. Grabbing the snip now. All right. So we got solve for the indicated variable. The indicated variable is k. K is in two places, which you could be bad at first. So how do I do that? You can factor out a k. So you have r equals k. P subscript 2 to the power 4 minus t subscript 1 to the power 4. Just take note that when you enter this, you do the subscript first and then the power. Just be careful with that. And then to solve for k, you just divide both sides by what's over here on the right. Like that. So these cancel. And so that's your k. Your k is r over, and you don't need the parentheses, up to you if you want to put them in, but t subscript 2 to the power 4 minus t subscript 1 to the power of 4. And just really make sure you're entering it correctly. It's easy to be slightly off and then you for sure get the wrong answer.
K is r big R. All right.
All right. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, I'm going to send over another one. Should be able to get at least one more in.
not send it.
Okay, the way to do this question is essentially you're solving for A. Which it's, the wording is maybe awkward, but it literally is just like if you can solve for A. So solve for A, you have to multiply both sides by the bottom there, 15y squared. So I'll rewrite it over here. I'm gonna rewrite it slightly backwards though. So A equals 4x times 15y squared. And then you can actually put the 3y underneath the 15y squared. Like it can move, or you can slide around here.
That's the answer.
No, but
Oh.
the point is you could slide around. So now we could divide, like 15
Okay.
divided by 3 is 5. So that make 5. Y squared over y, those cancel. So you end up getting 20x y. 4 times 5 is 20, and the xy just come along, and that's your value of A. Like that.
All right.
You're welcome to send over the next question. We can start it here, see what we get done in a couple minutes here, or stop for time being. There it is. We'll upload here. Right. So. All right, so I can set this one up, but we won't have time to solve it, at least in this session. The formula here is 1 over the person one's time plus 1 over person two's time equals 1 over the time together. Now, does the answer show as in minutes or hours?
Minutes.
It's okay, good. So 1 over 65 plus 1 over
over
45
Okay.
equals 1 over x. So you're welcome to solve this if you want. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I'll guess it's like 30 minutes or something like that. Okay, we will just stop here for the
Okay.
time being. Please use that other